Ownership structure is quietly driving business performance. Most businesses assume performance comes from strategy, pricing, or operations. But there's a deeper layer that often gets ignored. Ownership structure shapes how a company actually behaves every day, and in many cases, it matters more than the strategy on paper. Ownership doesn't just fund a business, it influences how fast decisions are made, how disciplined cash flow is, and how quickly inefficiencies get corrected. Ownership concentration changes speed and discipline. Companies with concentrated ownership, fewer large owners, tend to move faster and operate more tightly. When ownership is concentrated, decisions are clearer, accountability is stronger, waste is easier to identify and harder to ignore. These businesses usually make decisions faster, respond quicker to issues, and maintain tighter financial discipline. In contrast, widely dispersed ownership often slows things down. More stakeholders mean slower decisions, weaker accountability, and more tolerance for inefficiency. So ownership structure acts like a built-in speed and discipline control system. Institutional ownership works through pressure, not control. Today, many companies are owned by institutional investors like mutual funds and pension funds, but these owners rarely manage companies directly. Instead, they influence behavior indirectly through capital flow pressure. If performance is strong, money stays. If performance weakens, capital quietly exits. That triggers stock price decline, higher cost of capital, and tighter pressure on management. So governance today isn't about direct instruction, it's about consequences driven by the market. Governance is now indirect. In older models, shareholders actively pushed management decisions. Now, governance works differently. It's not direct oversight, it's structural pressure. Investors don't usually intervene, they respond. If performance drops, they reduce exposure. That alone forces companies to adjust behavior. Management doesn't need constant direction. The capital environment already defines what is acceptable. Ownership affects operational discipline. Ownership structure also shapes how companies manage cash, inventory, and receivables. Firms with stronger oversight tend to collect cash faster, reduce excess inventory, and manage working capital more tightly. Why? Because there's more pressure on return on capital and efficiency. Weaker oversight often leads to slower collections, bloated inventory, and operational inefficiencies that accumulate over time. So ownership directly influences how clean or messy day-to-day operations become. Dividend signal discipline, not just profit dividend policy, is often misunderstood as investor preference, but it also reflects internal discipline. Companies with stronger oversight tend to pay dividends more consistently, avoid hoarding excess cash, and reinvest capital more deliberately. Companies with weaker discipline often accumulate cash without efficient deployment, which can lead to wasted capital over time. So dividends are a signal of how controlled capital behavior really is inside the firm. The core insight: ownership is an operating system. When you step back, the pattern is clear. Ownership structure is not just financial, it is operational. It influences decision speed, cash discipline, operational efficiency, management behavior, and capital allocation. In effect, ownership acts like an invisible operating system running above management. Two companies can have the same strategy and market, but perform very differently depending on how they are owned. Final takeaway: the biggest mistake businesses make is focusing only on operations while ignoring structure. But ownership determines the environment those operations run in. And often, the difference between strong and weak performance isn't what a company does, it's what its ownership structure forces it to become over time. This is an agenda scene. Animate your first, second, and third agenda, followed by the fourth and fifth item.